I'm Sydney Radka, and welcome to another edition of FLX Weekly here at FingerLakes1.com. It is June 9th, 2021, and we are live inside the FingerLakes1.com studio, where I am joined by Jim Sinicropi and Michael Hardy, the Executive Director of Watkins Glen Area Chamber of Commerce. Today's show is brought to you by DA Liquors on Bridge Street in Seneca Falls. You can stop into DA Liquors in Seneca Falls today for a variety of choices to get you ready for the weekend. They have tons of new specials every day, including new spritzers from Three Brothers that I heard are amazing. They have new high noon flavors and variety packs. They have so many tropical summer cocktails that you can freeze or chill. You pour them and they're ready to go. And of course, they have plenty of cocktails that are canned. You pack in the cooler, you take them to the party, you take them on the boat. It is full-blown heading towards summer for us here in the Finger Lakes.
And Father's Day coming up.
Oh, yes.
Perfect spot to get something for Dad, right?
Absolutely.
She's
got specials every day. She's going to be coming in next week. I think it's next weekend, or next Wednesday, or the Wednesday after that. She'll be on our show again.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But now we want to officially welcome you to our FLX Weekly. How are you?
Hi, Michael.
Good morning and a hearty hello to all of you.
I almost said that. He said that when he walked in.
You were going to steal my line?
I almost was going to.
It's my gimmick.
I was going to say, let's give him a hearty hello.
You know it.
He walked in, and I was like, wow, that's pretty unique. I like that. But
it's nice to be here.
You are the executive director, and there is so much going on in the Watkins Glen area, and we just kind of want to dive into it, I guess, and learn about all the exciting things.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I'm actually wishing that you'd planned this during happy hour, because after that nice little plug for your sponsor, I want to have a cocktail with you all.
Oh, yes. We definitely
nice
have a
promo
few.
work. Watkins Glen, we're the second smallest county, Schuyler County, and Watkins Glen is kind of the epicenter. We have a 400-member chamber. Makes us fairly large in the area.
Yeah.
We have about half of those. About 200 of them are in Schuyler County, and 200 are in the surrounding county. Finger Lakes Wine Country. You probably had Lori Ward here. If not, I encourage you to get her here. Give her an hour show, though.
Okay.
She's a chatter. She's got a lot to talk about. And then the surrounding areas like Yates and Steuben and Tioga, kind of our brethren in the Finger Lakes Wine Country. And Watkins Glen, I have to tell you, before we went on air, we talked a little bit about DRI. I hope we could circle back to that, because it really changed what people have perceived Watkins Glen to be. I will tell people, I feel a little, I've said to my peers, I have a little bit of survivor guilt. The area did really well, actually, during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Our natural resources, particularly Watkins Glen State Park, everyone knows about the Gorge Trail,
right.
And then the National Forest, which a lot of people, even locals and natives, forget. They may have actually played in and just don't realize it's a national forest, right? That's our number one attraction, and has been for particularly last year in 2020.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing, and it brought in a large number. We were at a record year in 2019. That's true of the whole region. I know Jim was excited to talk about, I feel pretty comfortable talking about all 14 counties. But we did really well. Like, we got pretty much almost all of our sales tax. We did really well with our bed tax. We're also the tourism promotion agency, the chamber, as well as the chamber with a lot of history, over 100 years. Most people know us for the racetrack, right?
Oh,
but
sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a little tie, though. I think some know us for the park and some know us for the racetrack. So there's always this friendly competition in Schuyler County as who do people come and visit. We just did some cell phone data information, and it's kind of proving everyone wrong because it was the forest.
Oh, yeah, that is like a big thing. And I think it goes to show like how lucky we are in this area to have something that they were able to escape to during, when the pandemic was going on. You guys should feel lucky that you have a way to bring people in when there was barely anything that you could do. Your hands were tied.
Yeah, you mentioned those indicators, the sales tax and things. It was a bit of a panic early on for us in the Finger Lakes, such a tourism-driven, economy nowadays. But it did work out great for the Finger Lakes.
Well, I think, Sydney, you mentioned escape. I called them the escape tourists. You usually try to look for a positive word, but it was the truth. So let's go right to being the escape tourists. And we had a lot of people from Rochester come down. So you try to get the Rochesterians and the Buffalonians over another lake from Canandaigua and Keuka. Right. That worked this past summer, fall, even into winter. Yeah. And then New Yorkers, like Long Island New Yorkers.
This
not
is paradise.
Just,
New
it
Yorkers.
is paradise is a great way to put it.
It is. It was great. And I'm going to touch base. I'm going to try and say this word right. The The Conde Nast?
Conde Nast.
Conde Nast.
And that's okay. Conde Nast is a really well-established travel source, kind of like your go-to, kind of your Google for travel, probably for your 40 and over crowd. So you don't meet that demographic.
I'll give myself that excuse.
It's huge for a lot of decision makers who are planning vacations, summer homes, etc. And so what was great about getting that designation, particularly this year, is that we were number 8 for the waterfall, the Gorge Trail, in the country.
In the country, yeah.
Which
they mentioned Niagara
amazing.
Falls, and in New York State, where Niagara Falls is, you should do, and then gave us a really nice write-up. It was really great.
Oh,
that was right
awesome.
at early spring.
Well, Niagara Falls is phenomenal. It's a wonder of the world.
Of course.
And you go and you see it, and it's huge. But if you go to the Watkins Glen Gorge Trail, it's more of like a discovery experience,
Well, around every corner. So something special around every corner is our tagline. So you led me into it. I didn't even pay you. And Niagara Falls, you can do both. That's the nice thing about. I mean, getting around this area, it looks certainly mammoth. We're called the Empire State for a reason. But it's easy to include, for a full week, a waterfalls tour of the entire state.
Oh, absolutely.
Ithaca, of course, right over the hill from us, and Watkins Glen. And what I learned, because I've only been here a year now.
Wow.
I've been in the Finger Lakes a long time. Most of my career is in Rochester, with some in Manhattan and Chicago. But what's really interesting is that even the locals think the park is closed. Well, it's not the park is closed in the winter, just the Gorge Trail is closed.
Of course.
The South Rim and the North Rim are open, and they're fantastic to visit. The National Park is open year-round. Of course, the wineries, and all us locals, we know the best time to go to the wineries is between January and April, when there aren't any crowds. So it's those were discovered this year too, particularly by the New Yorkers.
And the state park was actually ranked number 1 in the state.
So they picked one place to go in the country, and Conde Nast again. They favored us. I think we were in the right place at the right time. We deserve it. I mean, our community deserves it. The history of the community, the beauty, natural beauty, and a lot of hardworking people.
Right.
I said last summer, owners were flipping burgers and changing sheets.
Oh,
the owners.
Of course.
They were working hard to get that business, because it didn't start until about mid-July when I started, and it went straight through. We didn't really have a shoulder season. I think everyone got like a break in March. But yeah, Conde Nast, to say of 50 destinations this summer, the one in New York to go to is Watkins Glen, and that's
awesome.
Pretty special.
Yeah, that's great to have that too.
Yeah,
and so
we'll milk it for all it's worth, right?
You said have you only been in this position for a year now?
I have.
Tell us a little bit about how you got to this position.
Oh, a long story. I actually was born in Rochester, but we moved to Newport. Newport, Rhode Island is the first tourism town of the United States. It's a wonderful place. When I was in 4th grade, I won't go that far back, don't get scared, Jim. But we had the America's Cup. We had, it was bicentennial, before you were a twinkle probably. And there was a lot.
Even like a clothing brand, Newport,
Yeah, of course. Newport is just a name, and it's basically that Newport. It could be Newport, England, but Newport, Rhode Island is got history.
Right.
America's Cup, tall ships, bicentennial, all that was going on. And I really kind of cemented. My parents owned a bar for a little bit, and I've been in hospitality ever since. I've been very fortunate to work in the wine industry. It gives me some vineyard cred in this neck of the woods. So my 35-plus wineries and tasting rooms there, they know I've picked grape, and I've toured and sold and tasted. That was at Casa Larga and Fairport. But I've been very pleased. I worked at Visit Rochester twice in my career. The convention side and the visitors side.
Nice.
And had some great staffs and really great events. We were talking about the PGA Ryder Cup. Was an amazing chapter in my life, working with hundreds of volunteers in Rochester. I opened Top of the Rock in Manhattan, but that was after I got recruited from Corning Museum of Glass.
Oh.
Really fun chapter. I say that a lot. I'm kind of like a broken record. A lot of fun chapters. But Corning Museum of Glass, I had made friends in the Finger Lakes, particularly in Watkins Glen and the southern tier Finger Lakes. And so I was recruited to open Top of the Rock at Rockefeller Center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 30 Rock. I know that appeals to you, Jenna. You all get what 30 Rock is. So that was a fun place to go to work for a little while.
Yeah.
And then I worked, I say on Broadway, but I didn't work on Broadway. I was a vice president of the largest ticketing agency called Group Sales Box Office.
You can say you worked there.
I would like to say I worked on Broadway, but you wouldn't want to come and hear me.
So with all these places you've been, and from Chicago to Rochester to New York City,
sure.
Now you're in a smaller market. What are some of the difference? Did you like it more? Do you miss some of the hustle, the bigger cities?
No, I don't. I left New York after a year and a half. I missed I tell people I miss the green, the blue, and yes, I even miss the white.
Right.
Yeah.
It snows in New York City, and then all of a sudden it's not there. And
Yeah.
you don't know where it went.
Right.
I like the seasonality. I love the people, hardworking people. Like I was not surprised, July through January that people were working really hard. The B&Bs, the restaurants, particularly the wineries and tasting rooms.
Right.
We have a variety of attractions. Watkins Glen International had a hard year last year, but they were open. The car clubs kept on coming. We just didn't have the track events. I say track events because they're not all races, right? We have the Wine Fest and the Beer Fest and all those great things that are coming. They're going to happen this year.
Yay!
Yay. We just heard the Grand Prix is going to happen, which is nice. That's a Watkins Glen promotion event that people are used to. We didn't get the cardboard regatta. But it's not happening this Father's Day weekend.
But it'll come back next year, you think?
Next year. Oh, for sure. Okay. Watkins Glen Promotion does only 4 events, and so they need those for funding.
Right. Of course.
And so that's a fun event. That was actually an event I was really looking forward to. We were going to do a chamber team, so.
Oh man!
But I like the small town. There's so much going on. We talked about the DRI. I know Watkins Glen pre-DRI, downtown revitalization. And now this is the Watkins Glen I know and sell and promote and work with. And there's still a ways to go. There's a way to go. But boy, it's a great kickstart.
This is a good chance for us to, I guess, talk about some of the things that are happening new in Watkins Glen through the DRA. And in Seneca Falls, where we're taping the show, we received the DRI grant too, but we're like a couple years behind you guys, I think, right, in the process.
Sure.
So just let us know, what has come to fruition as a result of that DRI process.
Sure.
In Watkins Glen.
I think certainly I have to give credit to Judy McKinney-Cherry and Kristen Van Horn and Luke and Tim and all our local legislators. Rebecca, who was my predecessor, worked really hard to get it. We went after it and then didn't get it, from my understanding, and then we got it. And now I think we're in the 3rd or 4th year. We're at the final stage. Yeah. But the improvement that it allows for businesses on your main streets, Main Street USA is what our small towns are known for in Finger Lakes. Penn Yan, Watkins Glen, Corning, Seneca Falls, Waterloo. Those are great experience. People are really searching those out, and the better you can make them, the better chance you have of reviving the economy.
Right.
We had a building built. We have a building we're opening right now, yet to be made, right in Clue Park. So Clue Park has this beautiful 130-person event space that's year-round. It's got a splash pad in the summer that converts to an ice rink in the winter.
Awesome.
That's part of it. Lighting. I mean, amazing what sidewalks lighting and the right curb appeal. This is literally. Curbing and streets, that's going to make a huge difference. Walkability is really important, and I think it really is a main focus of most DRI projects. Certainly you want jobs and you want businesses to open, but sometimes they don't do that if you don't have the infrastructure. So you're going to be really pleased. I invite you and anyone that's listening to certainly go and talk to Judy. Judy's still around. Luke and Tim are still around. Tim's retiring, but I think he's going to keep a home. Tim O'Hearn is our county administrator. The new ones, I believe, started. I think Fonda's started, but he's going to get to learn from Tim a little bit, and that's good because he'll learn about the DRI.
Right.
So we're not that far. We're cooperation. We talked a little bit about those directions getting down up and down the lakes, the one way. I tell people get lost in the Finger Lakes because it's the best experiences. You're going to run into all kinds of great businesses, but there's a lot of opportunity to work with one another. I don't think people have time. They don't know visitors don't know boundaries.
Right.
They don't know the borders of the counties.
And also, if you're, like we mentioned New York City, so you might have to go somewhere in New York City, to travel from Seneca Falls to Watkins Glen, for example. That geographical distance in New York City could be a 2-hour trip.
Of course, if you're lucky.
Here we're there in a half an hour, and you can get around things, and you enjoy the ride too. Nothing like driving them down the lake or up the lake any time of year, really. Just we take them for granted sometimes, the views, and so that's what me and my friends like to do. We like to pick, we usually call it go out on the wine trails, but what that really means is pick a spot for dinner.
What does that mean, Jim? What's the code word for?
We pick a spot for dinner, hit a couple wineries beforehand, so and that'll generally be, whether it's Hammondsport, Watkins Glen, or a million places in between.
Places.
We plan our whole day around that, and usually pick, like I say, one of the areas, or whether it's the Cuca Lake Wine Trail, or like you say, focus on Watkins Glen or Cuga Lake. There's just so many options, and it's fun, and it's great for us as residents, but then I think when visitors come, I think they're just blown away.
Well, imagining that most of your listeners and watchers are locals, the culture is going to change a little. There are lots of silver linings, or what I've been saying, phoenixes from the pandemic fire, right? Mm-hmm. One of those is that our culture of tasting rooms is going to change. You can't really belly up anymore. I'm not saying you did that, Jim, or Sydney.
I did.
But if you do, I'm not judging, because that's what I used to do, and that's how we promoted it. You never got turned away. That's that hospitality that we're known for, and we'll still have that. I think what we'd like, looking in the camera saying, please tell people to call ahead is my message. Is your front line should call ahead, your B&Bs, anybody, even if you're hosting friends or family, have them call ahead, ideally a couple days. A lot of the experiences are sit down now. You can't actually go up to a tasting. I say tasting room for both the distillery and the brewery, or as well as the wineries. And so call ahead. It's not going to hurt. They don't want to turn business away, but they found out and they made good money. I mean, tasting rooms are not in the business to taste. They're in the business to sell. Yeah. So I think once people understand that, and we're all ambassadors, right? We have been for decades, 30, 40 years. And you've been promoting, go, go, go. Now it's just like, go, but call ahead. Right. So just add that little extra message. That's a Phoenix, because they did make better money. They survived, not only survived, but thrived during the pandemic, because it was a better experience.
Yeah. That's something that we had to get used to too. We started calling ahead because that's what they want to do. Once you go to one place and they're like, sorry, you need to make an appointment. But it was a lot more convenient, because when you got there, you knew that you were ready to go. You didn't have to wait.
Right.
And everything ran more smoothly. So
it's a sigh of relief, and I think if we can get your audiences and the community at large, the people who have been ambassadors, yes, people will pay $15 for a tasting, and that's what the wineries and breweries and distilleries should get. They've worked really hard. They can sell the higher bottles of wine. I know that we're going into what used to be Riesling month to really push Riesling. We do all kinds of great beverages, not just Riesling, so there's a big switch coming for Finger Lakes Wine Month, not Riesling Month.
Yes.
Or in addition to Riesling, other things. So that's a new culture thing. I think the call ahead's also going to work with your restaurants. Probably have a lot of sponsors, and they're all having challenges with staffing, but calling ahead at least assures a reservation. It gives the kitchen an opportunity to buy better.
Yeah.
And plan for your meal.
Right.
And people should hopefully be understanding of that. I hope that'll change. Staffing will change, but we have staffing. That's a challenge all over the country, not just here in the Finger Lakes.
Mm-hmm. And now you're saying, because I need to learn more, when you go to these Watkins Glen wine tours now, they have another new place that you can stay at if you're interested in glamping. And
I can see your MO is totally glamping to me. I
love all that kind of stuff.
So let me define to the audience a little bit. Glamping is that kick up where you potentially have a shower, a bathroom, maybe even air conditioning. Your bed is as a bed. It's not a cot. It's usually fine linen. It's on a platform. Nature Lux and Star and Seneca Soul are two of ours. They're off the top of my head. Nature Lux opens this weekend. It's lovely. Dawn April, we've been working with her. Lieutenant Governor Hochul was just down to cut the ribbon this past week. And it's pretty special. I mean, there are some of your tents, they're like these little compounds of tents.
Yeah.
And some of them are a little bit more rustic, but they're still on a platform and they're still a bed, right?
Yeah.
My kind of camping, your kind of camping. They may or may not have a shower or toilet, but there's also the bathhouse if it's one of the more rustic
and this
compounds.
is something that the state, you mentioned Lieutenant Governor Huckle, the state is kind of behind this glamping thing.
It's new product. Anything that's new product. With Schitt's Creek, no promo there. Motels are doing well.
Please promote it. Yes.
Right. We have that culture. That's your culture, and that's a TV culture. Although everybody loves the show, most people love the show. Motels are having a resurgence, right? Also, exterior entrances. So during a pandemic, would they be favored over a full service property? Sure, because you only walk in and out. You don't have to have any contact. Same with bed and breakfast, Airbnbs, our vacation rentals. All of those went through the roof. Yeah. Glamping is something special and new, and people want to be outdoors. It's kind of innate in us. We either want to dig, fish, we want to do something that brings us back to earth. Right. Camping gives you that feel, and now false sense of security with a air conditioning toilet. I'm not saying there's air conditioning, but a tent on a bed, on a platform with toilet and a shower, I'm there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big camper.
Right.
A glamper, that might be something we could do.
And they're so cutely decorated, and it's kind of a trendy thing, so it's going to be bringing some people that are going to want to experience other things that's there. And now they're like, oh, I don't want to just stay in a hotel room. Let me get more of an experience. How close is it to the racetrack? Is it close?
It's literally around the corner.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
and
it's close. You'll be able to hear it too, I think, a little bit. I mean, again, track events usually only happen once or twice a month for a long weekend. So for the, you don't want to dissuade the people who want kind of the privacy and the quiet of camping. But Dawn's going to do pretty well with. There's a variety of audiences for the racetrack, and some of them have quite a bit of money.
Right.
So I got to put you on the spot a little bit here with just a question I know that a lot of people might have. So the band Fish was supposed to come a couple years ago for one of their huge festivals that they've done previously at the racetrack.
Sure.
And for a variety of issues that didn't pan out, and then the pandemic. Do you envision any of these super honestly, those types of events are almost oversized for the community, just the massive amount of people. You're talking about 100,000 people.
Well, you think of the season, we double, triple, quadruple. I mean, we only have 18,000 people in our county.
Yeah.
So, the racetrack does 5 times that, right?
Yeah.
So they're staying somewhere.
So, the bigger, the NASCAR race and things like
sure.
that, that brings obviously a ton of people. And you anticipate bigger concerts coming back to Watkins Glen at some time, or is that something from
I think
the
you
past?
have more history that we basically, 7 plagues that plagued that last concert, because it was a
goodness,
flood
yeah.
this was pre-me, so,
Yeah.
but I understand a flood,
Right.
a literal flood that it hurt the whole southern tier, if not the whole Finger Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that just wiped out some infrastructure. They are supposed to be announcing that they're going to do, Fish is pretty good to their audiences, and the audiences are great.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you moderate by size. I think Watkins Glen International is going to be very fair to their community. I think the officials are very responsible.
Yep.
But it's going to be at least the crowd that a race would bring in, a good race, a NASCAR race or a Formula One or any of the truck races, et cetera. So I do think, yes. And we've been working with really well with the Watkins Glen WGI is what I always call it, so I hesitate.
Sure.
But Jose and Michael and Chris and a variety of them, they're all looking at doing some really cool events because everyone's looking for different revenue streams. Mm-hmm. We talked about a color ride for perhaps Pride next year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's identifying with the audiences. We've all woken up. Maybe that's a phoenix of the fire of the pandemic, as well as you need to go to diverse audiences or you won't survive. And who wants to just survive? So the racetrack's the same way. NASCAR owns the track. They want to see other events. We've got a great campaign we're working with the Finger Lakes Wine Country collaboration to welcome NASCAR fans back. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We are voting right now. That's vote for Watkins Glen International. They're back on. They've won 4 years in a row. Best track for NASCAR. That's pretty special, considering it's also probably, if not the smallest track, because it's that hospitality they got.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that sets Watkins Glen apart from a lot of other communities in the Finger Lakes is that they have hosted these gigantic events,
right?
And been able to pull it off, and had issues. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure
well,
there's
yeah,
I mean, when Mother
everywhere.
Nature gets involved, if Mother Nature gets involved, there's nobody can stop it.
But
I
they
think
have that
New Yorkers
facility
should be
to
used
do
to that.
it. There's not a lot of places, even in bigger communities in the Finger Lakes than Watkins Glen population-wise. There just isn't a facility to do that, and there's something special about it. You got the history from back when the Grateful Dead came.
Right.
So there's.
That
it's
must
Summer
have been
Jam.
a show.
Jim, you're too young for Summer Jam. We were even twinkles then.
Well, yeah.
But it looks fun, right? Yeah.
I wish I was there.
Well, it's kind of like it's like Woodstock, but here. I mean, it really had that whole same MO,
sure.
and good for them for doing it. What's nice about the track is that Michael Printup, who's the executive director, he's the chairman of the Chemung Chamber. They're members of our chamber.
I didn't know that.
So I'm joking. This will be the first time I say it on camera. So they want to do a marathon for 1,500 people during Winefest next year. Mm-hmm. Well, we get a little concerned about doing major events, but we can do it. But our hotels will be full, which is great because now all Michael's Chemung Chamber member hotels will be full from an event at the track, and that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Everybody benefits from that, and any kind of major event we do, whether it's Village Christmas weekend or holiday happenings and winter traditions. I don't know, did you get to Castle Grish at all to see the light show? Did you hear about?
No.
So the owner wanted to do something over the winter, and there's this huge spike in December and January of, I think he came up with 10,000 cars came to Little Watkins Glen in January to see this really great show. We have another show on the other side behind Grist Iron. If you've never been to Grist Iron,
yeah.
it's just amazing. And the distillery,
That is a great place.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do plugs, but I mean, they're just really people. This distillery is pretty special. And Grist Iron is going to be hosting the Finger Lakes Fantasy of Lights.
Ooh.
You may have heard about it last year, but because of the pandemic, it's a large Chinese lantern show.
Oh, cool.
We're waiting for when will the shipping containers come from China? When can the artists come from China and Canada? Both borders not helpful right now. They're done. Now they just have to be installed, and it'll be a mile walk behind Grist Iron.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's hopefully going to start in July or August and go through the fall, maybe early fall. So now we have these 2 light shows. Everyone's got to have a gimmick in a good way. People think, oh, you say gimmick. I'm like, well, I praise you if you have a good gimmick.
Yeah,
and
right?
so, Castle Grist gets the lights. Grist Iron gets lights. We have disc golf. We have, ponds. You have chairs. I mean, the outdoor spaces at the wineries have certainly improved.
Yeah, it's come to a point where if you are coming up from New York City or any point in the Northeast within a 5 or 6 hour drive, as a lot of people do, you can't do it all in one trip. So you're going to want to come back. You're going to see things that and that really is the mark of a great tourism economy.
Well, if you can hub and spoke from Watkins Glen. I like to say we're the center of the universe. That's my job, right? But you can do Corning Museum of Glass in 30 minutes, the Rockwell, the Boating Museum. If you haven't gotten them in there, it's so interesting. You also have obviously Curtis, which totally talk about Seneca.
That's one of the most
Seneca
underrated.
And Curtis, underrated.
Yeah.
People need to learn more about It's a Wonderful Life and the Canal and women's rights and Curtis, and that flight exists because Curtis was here in Hammondsport, right?
Yeah, that is one of the most underestimated or undervalued, I guess, destinations is that Glenn Curtis Museum. It's pretty impressive. Anybody that's ever gone there said, wow, I didn't ever realize how great that was. And they want to go back.
They've got an exhibit coming. Your wall reminds me of it. Is of all of the fun paintings they would do on the side of planes.
Oh, cool.
Most people know. They think a lot of it's pinup girls, but there were all kinds of different things, including pinup girls.
Right.
But it was really interesting. I love Felix the Cat, and there's this one cool one of Felix holding a bomb or something, if I remember correctly. The war culture, but it's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the cultural, like all of the. You have a historical society here. The historical societies in the Finger Lakes. You realize how much we impacted history, not only of our state, but the United States and of the world.
The world, yeah.
Susan B. and Freddie D. and Elizabeth K. But the Erie Canal and people, that's also, I think, underrated. We have now acknowledged it in our lifetime. We've seen, the Erie Canal re-exists, right?
Hey, I had to sing about the Erie Canal in middle school. I had a solo on a CD. People came in. They taught us about the Erie Canal and stuff.
Did you sing about sail?
It opened up this country. It brought together the West and the East, from the Atlantic to Lake Erie. Wedding of the Waters, DeWitt Clinton's dream. Boom. See, I remember that
I think we need some background music. I think she needs her own little spotlight.
No. That's good. No,
we need to push the canal. But another underrated.
With all of that you just said, you literally just gave like a whole summer itinerary that somebody could plan out in Watkins Glen area just alone, not even in the whole Finger Lakes region. And it just shows like how much you actually have to offer, how great you guys are doing down there. And with the DRI, with the pandemic, you've been able to just, thrive even more.
So one thing that is something that locals, I think, are excited about is Captain Bill.
Yes.
Mark got his second boat. What a legacy, right? There are a lot of legacy businesses, multi-generations, whether it's the farms. But Mark, particularly, his second boat is going to be pretty special. He's thrilled. We just announced we are going to do a 4th of July fireworks.
Oh.
It was on hold. You wait for CDC, you wait for the county, you wait for that. And so Mark's thrilled because he's going to do fireworks. This boat's really kind of special. He would have had a large, medium, and small. He's selling the smaller boat, which is good because we needed a little bigger groups. He survived. And thrived enough to buy a boat.
Right.
We're still in a pandemic, people. So he's buying a business. Our businesses are doing well. Businesses are opening up. It's a huge surprise. You don't want to take for granted. I know I'm not supposed to knock, but I'm knocking on wood. Hey, people hear that. And he's a hero. I mean, there are a lot of heroes that got through this. I'll mention also Carmela Hoffman from Sunset View Creamery. They decided to get a new product called cow cuddling. There you go. Come and sing to the cows.
Oh, absolutely. I'll serenade them all night.
And so that's, the new product, a mushroom farm. Agritourism is a really big deal for us. And I think we're a little behind some of the other counties, but we've got some really special unique things. Cow cuddling is, I think there's only one other county's doing it right now. I can see this huge cow cuddling competition throughout the Finger Lakes.
Yes.
There are enough cows people to go around. Come to Schuyler County and cuddle with a cow. But
oh my
the
goodness.
dairies and Reisinger, you know, all of the agritourism. I just wanted to make sure I plug that because we actually take it for granted because we shop at them. But the people who come up that don't have them, that 2-hour drive you were talking about in the city, you can hit 8 farms and 4 wineries in that 2 hours.
Right.
So why not stop at all of them? But to have people developing product and building spaces and buying boats, pretty impressive. And I do believe that is existing. Not every county in the Finger Lakes did well. So that's where the survival guilt came from. But because I have friends that are working in these other counties, a number of them did. I'm a little more vocal because I wanted people to see hope, not to brag, because people worked really hard, including our staff. And I think it just says something about the people here. It's in the water, right? We always joke about Frederick Douglass and Elizabeth Cady and a number of other pioneers, that George Eastman, that drank water, right? It's all in the water.
Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah, I love that. You've given us so much good information. It makes me want to plan my weekend.
You don't have to go anywhere else.
Watkins Glen already.
Good.
And that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Right. So you did your job, and we loved having you on here. I do want you to tell us about the weekend, if it is a good weekend to go and travel around the Finger Lakes. Is it going to be warm? Is it going to keep me happy? Because I don't like those cold, rainy days.
Well, it's certainly not going to be cold.
Okay, beautiful.
And,
that's my alley.
We're not too summer yet. We're still in spring until June 21st, I think.
2 more weeks.
So, but it's going to be summer-like weather. As we've been in this pattern of hot, humid, and that brings afternoon thunder showers. But last night here in Seneca Falls, we got a lot of rain as it moved through, which was great. We needed it. But this weekend will be not as hot as last weekend for sure. Friday, partly sunny, high near 81, just a 30% chance of showers or thunderstorms. Friday night into the overnight, getting down into the upper 50s. So it'll actually, you can open up your windows, turn off the air conditioners, have a nice sleep. And then what a beautiful day on Saturday. That's my pick day. Mostly sunny, high near 79. That's about perfect. You can do anything you want. You can swim, you can hike, and be comfortable. Saturday night, again, down to about 58, and then Sunday, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms with a high near 82. And again, 40% chance means 60% chance it doesn't rain.
I love that.
So go ahead and plan.
Good train of thought.
Plan yourself, plan your outdoor activities. You'll be fine. And then back to work on Monday. Another 40% chance of showers, but mostly sunny, high near 78. So it's going to be summer-like, but it's not going to be the oppressive humidity that we've touched on for the first time over the past week. So good for us.
So it's a perfect day to get out and explore. And we actually are over time, but it's just because we had so much good stuff to talk about. It is okay. Where can people check out more information about what's going on, like a calendar of events or anything?
ExploreWatkinsGlen.com.
All right, ExploreWatkinsGlen.com. We had a great time.
Congratulations on everything great going on at Watkins Glen. The DRI is great, and I've always looked at like Seneca Falls, Watkins Glen, Penyan. Though these communities, we're all like the same but different. We all have our uniqueness, but we're doing the same types of things.
It's really about the people. You've got it. I mean, it's about the people. The places, the natural beauty as well.
Yeah, so it's good stuff, and glad to have you on board in the Finger Lakes, and you're doing a great job, and we'll definitely have you back.
Appreciate it. Come on down.
Thank you. And thank you again for joining us today. If you enjoyed this show, you can click like, you can share with your friends, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back, of course, next Wednesday. And until then, have a great weekend here in the Finger Lakes.